The new Models 3 and Y are out. Tesla has released the more affordable versions, but are they affordable enough? That's the question I keep getting asked, and I keep trying to address it, and I keep getting pushback, so we're going to compare it against two other new cars coming out, the new and improved Nissan Leaf and the new and improved Chevy Bolt. Those are under $30,000. What do you get for that price? Let's take a look and find out, and you can decide for yourself what value means to you. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. So if we look at this here, what are we seeing? Model Y is now 40 grand. Yeah, they cut some stuff out. A lot of it's stuff people don't want. One or two things might be something you really, really want. For you, this could be a deal breaker. Fine, move up to the next model. Maybe that makes you happier. I enjoy the cars the way they are, but affordability is always an issue. So yeah, $40,000 for the Model YS, $37,000 for the Model 3S, about $5,000 less. So the first thing we should talk about here is the U.S. is not the world. The U.S. is one of Tesla's largest markets, but it is not the majority of Tesla's sales. The majority of Tesla's sales take place internationally, where the IRA credit had no bearing on costs to consumers. So in other countries where this car will be released, we know it's already coming at the end of this month. They've already opened orders. They've already opened orders in the German market. So what does that mean? Well, that means in Germany, there is a car that's now $5,000 cheaper. Did you really lose $5,000 of utility? The range is still very good. The comfort is still good. The firsthand accounts from people who've driven them say they're still smooth and quiet and all the things you'd want. So yeah, maybe there's something, maybe you really want those folding mirrors, but not enough to pay $5,000. Maybe you really want a couple more speakers, but again, not enough to pay $5,000. There's things you can do that make it worth it to you that, you can decide. In those markets, this might be a much bigger seller. The market's going to be distorted this quarter because of the end of the IRA. It just is. And that might carry a little bit into next year as well. But that is, again, just for the US. So let's look at this again. We've got this article here talking about it a little bit. And then we've got Wired Magazine. Model Y and Model 3 Standard are cheaper, but still not cheap. Yes, the tax credit's gone. More affordable models don't quite close the gap. Yeah, $37,000 is still a lot of money. $39,900, still a lot of money. But these are much cheaper than the average car costs in the US. Average sedan, I heard on Friday, was $51,000. I'd seen numbers saying the average car overall, $48,000. And a lot of people say, yeah, but that includes, it's only that high because it includes those $1 million cars. Guys, there's only a handful of those. They're really not skewing the numbers that much, but it also includes the very, very cheapest cars, which is what we're going to talk about. So you want an EV, but you don't want to pay too much. This terrible article from the New York Post, I guess I could have just said this article from the New York Post and you would have figured the rest out on your own. Says, well, look, let's find out what else is out there. 37 and 30 and 40,000, kind of a lot of money. What else is out there? Volkswagen ID4 for more than that. Doesn't really count. The Model Y, yes. The Model 3, yes. Kia EV4, which isn't out, but the expected price is $35,000. That would be great. That's a lot of range, but that's WLTP range. So I'm not sure what market this is for. This is just a terrible article because we don't use WLTP in the US. We use the EPA rating, which is more accurate for highway miles, where WLTP would be more of a city car kind of rating. This number is certainly wrong. Ioniq 5, good range, but again, more expensive than either the 3 or the Y. And the Equinox at 33.6, that's definitely not quite accurate. And at that price, they'd be losing quite a bit of money. I don't know where they're getting this. So let's just talk about the cars themselves. The new Chevy Bolt. I didn't get a chance to see it. I know some folks on X who did, and I've had a chance to chat with some of them. It looks fine. Do you want the most exciting car for the lowest price? Sure. That's not really a reasonable expectation to get it. This is a good value, I would say, if what you want is just a car. And a lot of people are saying, well, I want a car that's not a computer. Cars are computers now. That's just how they are. You're going to have a screen. You have to have, by law, a backup camera. Forward collision warning, you need that for safety. The car's a computer. We just got to move past it. If you want to start a company that makes cars that are just cars, you can do that. But they're going to be less safe than cars that are otherwise built. And you're going to struggle to sell them, both legally and in terms of market demand. 2027 Chevy Bolt Launch Edition will cost 30 grand, including destination fee. That's quite attractive. Base model will arrive at 29 grand. I'd be curious to confirm that includes the destination fee, but if true, that's great. Nissan Leaf, which starts at 30, excluding the destination charge. That's right. And these two will be in competition with each other, the Bolt and the Leaf. On Thursday night, I had a chance to go to the Nissan dealership in Oregon, down in Milwaukee, and see the all-new Leaf. They invited the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association in. They wanted to host us to check it out. We got there. They didn't have one. They were very frustrated, more frustrated than we were. There's one somewhere in Portland, but I haven't had a chance to see it. With a price point comparable to a small gas-powered crossover, healthy range, and way faster charging speeds, the 27 Bolt is a sorely needed addition. Company says the new Bolt's range will be 255 miles, which is fine, slightly more than the outgoing Bolt's 247. Recharge from 10 to 80% in a not too shabby 26 minutes. Its peak charging, of course, is 150 kilowatts. For those of us who have had a chance to use Tesla superchargers quite a bit, we know that the 150 handles are disappointingly slow, but that is better. Their old charging speed was 55 kilowatts. Not good at all. So, this is an interesting car. It's not super fast. It's not super sexy, but it's not bad. It's not ugly. If you don't like it, that's fine. You're not going to get the most exciting infotainment experience. You're not going to get the best software experience, but maybe those don't matter to you. Maybe Chevy's got a winner here. I would be curious to know in the comments what you think. The real benefit to this vehicle, where it wins over the Leaf and perhaps over the Tesla, depending what you're interested in, is that it uses LFP batteries. So you can charge to 100. It doesn't degrade the battery in the way it might with a lithium ion, a high nickel content sort of battery, NMC or NCA chemistry. So you can charge it to 100 every day. You can get the full 255 of range. That's pretty good. Because if you're going to take 20% off your 300-mile range, your Model 3S only has about 260 miles of range. So this charge to 100, about as much range as a Model 3S charged to 80%. You can decide which of those is better, but considering it's $7,000 less, maybe that's a compromise you can accept. If this is just your commuter car, it doesn't matter how fast it charges. You're going to be charging at home either way. More than 50% of the parts are new or modified. This is an all-new car. 11-inch digital gauge cluster, 11.3-inch touchscreen. With Google built in, like all other new GM EVs, there's no Apple or CarPlay, Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which is, for many users, disappointing. You're not going to watch Netflix in this car, I'm pretty darn sure. How often do you watch Netflix in your car? I mean, it's fun to have, but is it critical? Is it worth $7,000? That's up to you. After targeting a $25,000 car years ago, Tesla seems to have abandoned this mission. They have. Name of the game is autonomy. They want robotaxis instead. But $25,000, well, adjusted for inflation, that'd be $32,000, $33,000, even from just 2018 or 2019. Inflation's caught up, guys. Things have gotten more expensive. That's just how it is. Then we've got this bit here. The Bolt will be limited run only. Now, the headline says that, but is it? And the real question is that $29,000. I don't think it is. The article doesn't quite say that. But we cannot disclose forecast volumes. We moved quickly to retain the nameplate in our portfolio for a little longer after hearing feedback saying, don't end it. So the question is, at 30 grand, is GM making money? Not overall, not on a net basis, but is it below their cost of goods sold? Initially, the answer is, of course, no. In the beginning, you've got a lot of costs to recover and very little volume on which to do it. But as you expand production, you get economies of scale, you amortize the equipment over more pieces. You could potentially make a profit at 30,000. Not if it's going to be a limited run, though. If it's a limited run, that just means you're losing money. I have had people argue with me on X saying, Brian, you can't know that. You don't work for GM. No, but I've interviewed people who work at the big three, and what they've told me. I asked a Ford engineer. A buddy told me the Ford Focus, they lose money on every unit they ever sold. And I said, that's crazy. You can't do that. Why would you do that? And he said, oh, no, we did. We did. That's why they discontinued it. They were only selling them to pull down the average fuel economy. It was worth more money to lose a little bit on those to improve the fleet economy. Well, those fleet economy standards have been kind of scrapped, but kind of is doing the heavy lifting. It's entirely possible that in 3 years, a different president will take it in a different direction, reinstate the CAFE standards, the fines for not hitting your mile per gallon efficiency targets. If that's the case, and GM's gone all in on inefficient gas engines, they're going to be in a real pickle. Now, I'd argue they're going to be in a real pickle either way. I've heard people say they'll be broke in some crazy short amount of time, 2 years. I disagree with that. Their financials are remarkably solid today. So that brings us to the last one, the Nissan Leaf. Oh my gosh, let's take a look at it here. Nissan Leaf's first test drive review, so much for so little. Again, just like the Bolt, you've got 150 kilowatt charging. This does have a lithium-ion battery. They said it's a new chemistry, but they didn't specify what. I assume it's just a nominally different improvement kind of thing. This is saying the base is at 21 or 28, 140. I don't believe that to be true. The dealership said, no, they start at 30 and they go all the way up to just like 40, not much. And the $40,000 one gets the worst mileage of all. Apparently, it's the only one without a heat pump, so it gets the worst mileage, but the most performance. Bit weird. 174 horsepower may sound anemic. It isn't. That's a fine amount of horsepower. And this is basically, I mean, does it kind of remind you of the Nissan Ariya? It should. It's very close to it. So that's kind of what they've done in a bit of a way, is merge the two vehicles. Handsome new styling, gorgeous interior design, 14.3-inch screens, so it's got a much bigger screen. It does have CarPlay. It does have Android Auto. Surprisingly generous cargo space. I'll take your word for it. I didn't get a chance to actually see it myself. Maybe Nissan could help me out with that. At least let me know when it's available in my area. So this is what you get. And it really does look like the Ariya. I think they've just merged the two code stacks, as it were. Just rebadged it. Yeah, that is a pretty low budget interior. There's no two ways about it. But again, for $7,000 less, I don't know, maybe it's what you want. Presenting door handles, nice. So it's got a lot going for it. It does have, weirdly, a charger on both sides of the front. Front fenders, both sides. One side, driver's side has NACS, the North American Charging Standard, and the passenger side has J1772. Little weird. So that's great, I guess. A little bit of confusion. They were saying that the NACS side only does DC charging. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but fine. Yeah. Each of the three sockets provides up to 1,500 watts worth of juice. Oh, and it's got power share. Oh, Tesla, you got to get the power share. So, yeah, and 214 horsepower, fine. That's fine. 214 horsepower. In the 90s, I had a Lexus that had 224, and boy, 228 maybe. It was a 93 SC300. You can look it up. And it was peppy. Oh, it was quick. I loved it. So that's where we're at. Is this a good value? Is this something you would even buy? Guys, if you could do me a favor and subscribe, that would be super awesome. It's one of the metrics that YouTube looks at to determine whether or not to show this channel to people. And lately, they have not been showing it to people. So what did I miss? What did I misunderstand? Leave it in the comments below and stay tuned, stay juicy. I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots, on the flippity flop.